3rd and 7. And McCarron goes down the field, and it's caught and breathes in for the touchdown.
Two things that like that suck. Death, taxes, 85 will always go.
Welcome to New Stripe City, a podcast for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie, and today is episode 24, entitled Little Giants. So I wanted to welcome you guys back. Of course, we've been gone for a while just because of the bye week, so we took the bye week off. For those of you who follow us on Facebook, make sure you follow us there, because I actually did a halftime and a post-game reaction to our last game. It was a disappointing tie. I kind of gave my thoughts on everything there, but I also announced that we would be off for the bye week. So I like to bring something different on every platform that I'm on, so make sure you follow us on Facebook, and our page is New Stripe City on there for those who don't know. We also have our blog spot website, and I wanted to ask you guys and get your input on certain articles that you guys would like to see me do, or certain subject matter that you'd like to see me discuss on there. The reason I'm asking is because I myself am a Bengals fan, and I go to a lot of the sites that we all go to, and there's just a lot of recycled stuff, so I don't want to become one of those websites for the Bengals that just offer you guys like broad stuff. Like, I don't want to force the same stuff down you guys' throat, so I want to put a unique spin on it. So if you have any ideas, definitely jump in the comment box and let me know. But as we've stated earlier, we're back on iTunes. I said that in my previous episode. We're also moving out to other platforms as well, but you can also check us out on our website, and you can also listen on Podcast Garden. They are our new hosts, so make sure you check them out. We're getting a comfortable relationship built with them, and it seems like our technical issues may be a thing of the past. We'll knock on wood there. But other than that, man, I'd just like to get into a couple of things. I'd like to wrap up the AFC North. Let's take a look at how we're stacking up against the division. Let's take a look at our new opponent that we're facing this week in New York. And I'll just give, I guess, my random Bengals thoughts as I always do. So, getting into things, the Bengals ended their last game with a tie. I was visibly upset about it. If you watch my reaction, I wasn't the happiest person in the room. I'd probably say that the team overall did not look good. They just did not look good. I'm just being honest. Now, from an offensive standpoint, AJ Green and Tyler Eifert were amazing, but from the defensive standpoint, it just really looked bad. And then from a special team standpoint, with Mike Nugent, it looked bad as well. So during the bye week, we went into the bye. Our defense coordinator, Paul Gunther, definitely hinted that he was going to make some changes and put everyone on notice on the defense. The Bengals also worked out a couple of kickers, but they decided to not sign one. And then they also brought back Wallace Gilberry, and they cut Chris Lewis-Harris, the cornerback. And it was also noted that William Jackson III could be possibly returning pretty soon. So that's something to look out for. So we had a lot of bye week nuggets, and I'll touch on some of them. So let's talk about Wallace Gilberry. The Wallace Gilberry signing makes sense. I can see why they'd like to do it. The defensive line has been a question mark position for us this year, just from anyone not named Geno Atkins and Carlos Dunlap. When you're looking at Michael Johnson, I love Michael Johnson, but he really isn't playing at an elite level. I mean, I believe that he is capable of playing at a decent level, but right now he's not really looking like the guy that we had, 3 seasons ago. He's not looking like that guy right now. So we'll see if he can improve, but there's room for improvement there. Will Clark, we're seeing, little signs here and there, but I can see how Wallace Gilberry would fit back into this fold because he was very productive here when we first initially brought him into Cincinnati. He left, as you guys know, after last offseason, but he was cut by Detroit. And he also returned to us this year. So I think that Wallace Gilberry is a guy that is just a good rotation guy. I know the Bengals like to use him at defensive end. I believe he also, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes they play him at defensive tackle as well. So I think that he'll be a pretty decent asset to this team, being that he knows the system, he can fit right in. So I'm not saying that he'll make a major contribution, but maybe we'll at least get some kind of kickstart to that rotation position. The linebacker core, we didn't see any signings there. There weren't any huge headlines in regards to any of the linebackers changing or us shifting gears there. William Jackson III could be back. I think that William Jackson will probably, just knowing the Bengals staff, I think he'll probably be back sooner than later. I'd hope that he could be back a little bit sooner, but we'll see how things go with that. But as we know, the Bengals really like to bring these guys along through special teams initially, and then they like to bring them into the rotation. But I feel like this guy is a guy that can immediately step onto the field, at least in a limited role, or at least in a percentage or in a snap percentage role, to really make a contribution. I like to see this guy out here because the secondary for the Bengals this year, it just doesn't really look good. I mean, the loss of Reggie Nelson is obvious. You can see it. You can tell. And anytime I turn on the TV and I see a Raiders game and Reggie Nelson picks something off, it just cuts me to the core because Sean Williams is not performing. And as I spoke to earlier, Paul Guenther alluded to certain starters being in jeopardy of losing their jobs. I definitely think Sean Williams is one of them. Now, with Sean Williams, I don't know if it's that for the most part he's really built and his skill set is really reserved for a strong safety and they have him playing free safety. I don't know if that's the issue or what it is, but I definitely love to see Darren Smith, and I've harped on this plenty of times, and some of my fellow podcasters have also harped on this as well. Darren Smith needs to get snaps. I mean, he's more of a ball hawk. He's more of a guy that can cover. To me, he's a guy that needs to be in there. So I'd look to see if Paulie starts to slowly bring him in. And, I mean, eventually he could possibly take over that position. So it'll be interesting to see there what they do. I was kind of surprised that the offensive line coach, Paul Alexander, didn't take the same approach that Paul Guenther did with the offensive line. Cedric Ogbuye is struggling. It's no secret. We know that. Why he hasn't been benched yet, I have no idea. So, other than that, just minor changes on the defensive front. But I think what needs to be done, and I'm not saying that this will be done, and I mean, I'm by no means an expert. I just like to give my opinion. I have no NFL experience. I've never been a GM. I haven't even been a high school coach. But to me, it's almost obvious that new starters need to be considered for right tackle, defensive tackle on the interior. As far as Domata Peko, he's a I'm not trying to slam him because I don't like people that really harp on how bad he is. I think he gets a bad rap for what he does because I believe that he has a role in this defense, and I think that his role is to take on double teams. So, of course, a guy like that isn't going to just jump off on the screen, but I feel like he would help us more in a rotational type of position. You've got a guy like Pat Sims. I really love Pat Sims. I'm not sure that he's really a passing down lineman, but I'd love to have him in there on early downs. If it was me, he'd be starting right next to Geno. I also think that you need to look at right defensive end. I love Michael Johnson, but I don't think right now he's more of the fit that we need on the defensive end on the right side. I think we need a little bit more pass rushing from that side, and he's really more of a run stopping kind of guy. So I think that we need to kind of flip-flop some people at that position. Maybe you move Carlos Dunlap around. Maybe you get creative and put different edge rushers on each side. And that's really what we really need is an edge rusher. But that's something that I mentioned leading up into the draft that I felt like the Bengals should definitely address. And I really wanted them to do it with no expense, but that's neither here nor there. But I think that that's another area that needs work. Cornerback. To me, I don't think Josh Shaw gets the respect that he deserves. In my opinion, and I know looking up some Pro Football Focus stats, his grade on there is amazing. You're talking about a guy who's played lights out. I mean, I don't recall ever really seeing Josh Shaw get beat, torched, or any of that. To me, this guy needs to arguably, and I don't know if he's just a slot corner for them, to me, they need to see what he can do on the outside. I seem to recall them playing him on the outside a bit his rookie year, and I think that he's, definitely worth the look there. The guy is completely shutting guys down. It wouldn't hurt to rotate him to the outside a little bit if you're not going to bring WJ3 out there. And then we still haven't seen some of our other cornerbacks yet. So I think cornerback potentially, outside of Pac-Man, I feel like you can at least rotate some guys in to see how they perform because the secondary is a problem. George Iloka, he's set in stone. Linebacker, I don't understand what it is that keeps us from addressing that. You've got a good linebacker in Vontaze Burfict. Dansby has played good but bad at times. To me, Ray Maluga, and I hate to say this, he's almost become somewhat of an extinct type of player in the NFL. And I hate to say that because he's more so of a run-stopping linebacker, and now the NFL is like a passing league, so he barely gets to play many snaps. So that doesn't really help us having someone who is out of place all the time or having somebody that could potentially be a weakness in the defense. He's not a weakness when people are running on us, but when they're passing on us, he is a liability in coverage. So I don't understand why Paul Dawson, and I keep banging on that. I just don't understand what it's going to take for him to get his chance. Even if you want to give Vinny Ray more snaps, something has to change there. I would definitely say linebacker, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but those are just some of the things that I would kind of correct if I were in Paulie's shoes. So let's move on. We're at the point now where we look around the division, we're in third place, but it's not a bad place to be in because we're a half game back out of the lead for the AFC North. Okay, so Baltimore just beat up on Pittsburgh, who looked terrible. I didn't expect them to look that great with Big Ben coming back off of a knee surgery. They kind of rushed them, but their offense was out of sync. So this is the prime timing for us to be able to take control of the division. So looking around, the Bengals are still in it. Cleveland's going through their whole Cleveland thing there. I don't know if I feel bad for Hugh or not because technically he left us, but it's just a huge, horrible situation out there in Cleveland. But you look at Baltimore. Baltimore's a pretty decent team, but they can be beaten. I think that we would match up with Baltimore way better. It seems like we match up with Baltimore better than we do with the Steelers. So I'd like to see hopefully Baltimore sweep Pittsburgh and then us sweep Baltimore and at least try to get a win in Pittsburgh. And I think that's what it's going to take for us to take over the AFC North outside of winning these remaining games that we have. Now, with that being said, I like the Bengals' chances to get there. I just think that we have to play more consistent, we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to realize that we're not as talented as we were last year, but that's okay because the AFC is very strong this year. You're looking at the AFC West. We just saw the game the other night with the Raiders and the Broncos. The Chiefs also playing in the division, and Justin Houston just came back. So they're loaded out there. You look around at the Patriots division, I believe it's the AFC East. You've got the Pats, you've got the Bills. So there's going to be some teams competing out there. And we have to make sure that we win this division in order to make the playoffs. So that will bring me to my breakdown of our next opponent. So after a bye week, I'm hoping that our coaching staff has improved, gotten better, and really just taking advantage of this bye week to kind of hone in on things that need to be corrected. It's funny because initially we were all worried about the offense, now we're worried about the defense, and now we're worried about the offensive line. There's just too much of a discrepancy from last year to this year that the performance-wise, it shouldn't just be put on a certain player or personnel. I think that it has to do with the coaching. I think it's a personnel thing, but I also think that it's a coaching thing. So hopefully they use this bye week to take advantage of being able to perform at a more efficient level. I mean, this defense is ranked in the 20s. I believe it's 24th right now, which is ridiculous. They're way better than that. So we'll see what they do with this bye week. But that brings me to the Giants. Now, the Giants are a hard team to kind of decipher. I watch a lot of other teams through the red zone just because I'm a fantasy football player. I know you guys play fantasy. So, let's see. I'll start with their teams. I always like doing this part because I like breaking down other teams because it's something that I kind of enjoy. It's kind of like a scouting thing. So, we'll start with the quarterback position. So, Eli Manning is Eli Manning. He's a guy that can throw 4 touchdowns one day and 4 interceptions the next day. You never know what you're going to get. We're going to need him to be the 4 interception throwing Eli Manning. We're going to need him to give us his best Mark Sanchez impression when we play these guys. So he's not a guy that you want to sleep on, but he's a guy that can make mistakes, and when he does make mistakes, you have to take advantage of him. So I hope that we can give him some looks that confuse him and potentially have him throw a couple of turnovers our way. That would be greatly appreciated because we are not really catching interceptions this year. I don't know what's up with that, but maybe this can be the game where we do finally turn on the light with the interceptions. We'll move on to the running backs. Now, running backs for the Giants, it's a little tricky. They have a lot of them, but if you've been following them closely, the guy to keep your eye on is not Rashad Jennings. The guy to keep your eye on is Paul Perkins. He was a guy that they drafted this year. He's very explosive. He's a guy that's kind of on the cusp of taking over the lead back role. You can tell that their backfield is about to be in a transition. He actually received 11 carries last week, and I believe he had about 46 total yards. But this guy is the real deal. Odell Beckham Jr. himself said that this guy's going to be a star. If you follow the fantasy circles, everyone's raving about him too because I think that he can be a sleeper. And I do not want this to be his welcome him out party. I really don't want it to be that, but this guy is a guy that can catch out of the backfield. He's pretty fast. He's shifty. He's got great vision. The guy is very explosive, and I really don't want to see Thomas Rawls-like performance from him this year. That would be the worst thing to happen. So I think the Bengals need to make sure that they key in on him. He's not a guy that you can really take for granted, and you have to make sure that you game plan for him. Now, there's not much film on him, so I don't know exactly how they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to look at college film or what, but I'd be prepping for Paul Perkins to be the guy that's going to take the majority of the carries and the snaps within that offense. Now, Rashad Jennings is still there, but he's really kind of becoming a shell of himself. He was very explosive a couple years ago, but his age is kind of catching up with him. We shift over to wide receiver. We all know about the diva, Odell Beckham Jr. He's very talented. Right now, when we're catching him, early on in the season, he was struggling a little bit, but now it seems like he's finally hit his stride, and it couldn't come at a worse time for us. This guy just took off on the Eagles last week. The Eagles are a talented secondary. They're one of the best secondaries in the league, if not the best secondary as far as the pass defense, and he just really shredded those guys this past weekend. He's a guy that we're going to have to key in on. I mean, it looks like like Pac-Man Jones is probably going to draw the card of Beckham, of guarding him. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up. As I said, Odell Beckham Jr. Came off a pretty big game. Not big receiving wise. He had 4 receptions, 42 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So caught a lot of touchdowns. So definitely we need to keep our eyes on him. Victor Cruz got injured. I think that he might not play. I think he's probably 60-40, leaning towards not playing. But, however, they do have a guy in Roger Lewis who was an undrafted rookie from Bowling Green. I actually was pretty big on him. I actually thought that the Bengals would pick him. He was kind of a sleeper, but he's a guy that you should keep your eye on too. He actually had a touchdown in the last game, and I think a couple weeks prior to that, he also had a touchdown. So they also have Sterling Shepard, who started off the season pretty hot, and now he's kind of cooled down. So they definitely have some weapons on offense with Perkins, OBJ, Roger Lewis, as well as Sterling Shepard. So our secondary is definitely going to be tested. Let's just put it that way. At tight end, they kind of have a mixed bag of guys there, but tight end has kind of plagued us. I know that they have a couple guys over there that play that position. On the defensive side of things, they have Landon Collins. They also have Jason Pierre-Paul. They have another edge rusher. I can't recall his name, but he actually signed with him from Miami for that ridiculous amount of money. So, and they also have Janoris Jenkins. So they definitely have talent and key guys in the right places. And we'll just have to see how our guys match up with them. Matchup to watch is definitely going to be Janoris Jenkins and AJ Green. These guys have been battling ever since they played against each other in the SEC. AJ Green actually, the year that Janoris Jenkins came out, he actually called him the best corner in that class. And Janoris Jenkins, he is a good corner, but he can be beat. He's known to take some chances, and when you have corners that take chances, sometimes they can get burnt. That's all I'm saying. But he's a great man-to-man corner, but he can be beat. We got Leon Hall returning to face us, which is kind of weird. So, of course, we're going up against Leon Hall. That will be interesting, being that he knows a lot of our receiver tendencies. But I think the best option for us would be to throw out Tyler Boyd. I don't think he's going to really know too many of Tyler Boyd's tendencies or Brandon LaFell. So that could be a key matchup for us. But Leon is a good player. They also have Eli Apple. I haven't seen much of him this year. I think he's, when he came out of college, he was a pretty raw prospect, and he got picked pretty high. I thought that he would be the second corner taken, but I didn't know he would go that high. That kind of shocked me there. Actually, I thought he would be the third corner taker. Excuse me. So that kind of shocked me, but still, he's another guy. But overall, I think we match up really well with this team. I think one of the keys to this game is going to be running the ball. We saw that Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard have been able to kind of get it going. I also think that we need to get AJ Green and Eifert involved and make sure that the run game and the passing game balances each other out. This is a good revamped defensive team. They also have Snacks, the defensive tackle, Mr. Harrison. So it's going to be a tough day on the ground, but we have to get that established. I also think that when it comes to our game plan, we kind of need to start to mold our game plan to one similar with the Patriots philosophy. New England Patriots, a lot of people hate on them, but I respect them. What Bill Belichick does the best is he exploits a team's weakness. He doesn't get wrapped up in forcing his game plan to work against another team. If another team has a horrible run defense, then he's going to run it. If they have a horrible pass defense, then he's going to pass it. He's going to exploit whatever it is that the other team has a weakness in. And then he's also going to throw somebody in his game plan that you're not expecting. The Bengals do not do that. And I think that they need to start to do things like that. Because if this game, if I'm looking at it from the New York perspective, I'm expecting AJ Green to get the ball. I'm expecting Jeremy Hill to get the ball. I'm expecting Tyler Eifert to get the ball. But one guy that I'm not expecting might be Tyler Boyd. So, and a Belichick offense, he might have the first, 6 or 7 plays designed for Tyler Boyd, or a way to get Tyler Boyd involved. There's going to be a random guy that gets off. So I think the Bengals need to kind of, in a sense, take on that philosophy when it comes to game planning. On the defensive side of things, we know what the matchups are. I think some of the keys are going to be stopping the passing attack, which is obvious. We have to limit Odell Beckham Jr. This offense runs through Odell Beckham Jr. He's a talented receiver. So he's a guy that you have to key in on if you're going to try to stop them. But you also can't forget about guys like Roger Lewis and Sterling Shepard. But I'd rather those guys get off rather than OBJ. We also have to limit their rushing attack. We can't let Paul Perkins or Rashad Jennings run it down our throat like some of these other teams have. We have to contain the run. And I think if we can do that and win the turnover ratio and play efficient football, I think we'd be able to win this game. So with that being said, I think that this game could go, I'm going to say the defense has been giving up a lot of points this year, but I'm going to go 30-26 Bengals. I think that it's going to be a close game. I'm cautiously optimistic, but this is a big game. The Bengals have their backs up against the wall. They're fighting to get back into this divisional race, and they've had somewhat of an underwhelming start, but they can catch fire. And I think if they can catch fire for this game, this is almost a must-win for them. They've got the Philadelphia Eagles later. They've got the Ravens twice. They've got the Steelers one more time. So this is a game that they have to come in and win. The Browns game was a gimme. We should have won the last one against the Redskins. So this is a game that the Bengals have to come in and win. And with that being said, I'll let you guys go. Make sure you guys go out and vote. Make sure you check back to hear from us this week. We'll be back with another show this week, as I said. And we're looking forward to bringing on a new guest. Now, if you guys haven't had a chance, make sure you check out G Knows Football. I'd go on Google and make sure you Google search her name. She has a blog. She's a Bengals fan. She has a really cool perspective on the team. She also has a video channel on YouTube as well, and I'll put that in my description. So make sure you check those out because she really knows her stuff, and I mean, she's a cool Bengals fan, and I might have her on here on the future. But as always, guys, it's Who Day, all day, every day, and especially on Sunday. Y'all take it easy. God bless America.